Hello, and welcome to The Feminine Mind. My name is Emma, and today I want to tell you about the worst decision I ever made in a relationship, a decision that took less than 30 seconds and changed my life forever. I'm not proud of what I did. In fact, for years, I couldn't even talk about it. But looking back now, I think this story taught me something that every woman should know. It happened on a Friday night. I remember because it was raining outside, the kind of rain that makes the entire city feel silent. My boyfriend and I had been together for almost 2 years. From the outside, everything looked perfect. We rarely argued. We traveled together. Our families knew each other. People constantly told us how lucky we were, and honestly, I believed them. I thought I had found my future husband. I thought I had found my forever person. But there was one problem: a feeling. A strange feeling I couldn't explain. Nothing specific had happened. No evidence, no dramatic argument, no obvious lie, just a quiet voice in the back of my mind telling me that something wasn't right. At first, I ignored it. For weeks, maybe months. Every time the feeling appeared, I pushed it away. I told myself I was paranoid. I told myself I was overthinking. I told myself trust meant not asking questions. But the feeling never disappeared. It only became stronger. Then one evening, we were sitting on the couch watching a movie. His phone buzzed. He picked it up, looked at the screen, and immediately turned it face down. Maybe it meant nothing. It probably meant nothing. But somehow that tiny moment stayed in my mind. The next day, I couldn't stop thinking about it, and then I started noticing other things. Small things. Things I had ignored before. He started taking his phone everywhere, even to the bathroom. He changed his passcode. He became strangely protective whenever a notification appeared. None of it proved anything, but together, it felt different. For the first time in our relationship, I started wondering whether I truly knew the person sitting across from me. A week later, I found myself alone in his apartment. He had gone downstairs to pick up food. His phone was sitting on the kitchen counter, unlocked, just sitting there. I remember staring at it. My heart was pounding. I knew I shouldn't touch it. I knew it was wrong, but curiosity mixed with fear is a dangerous combination. For 5 minutes, I argued with myself. One voice told me to walk away. The other told me I deserved answers. Eventually, fear won. I picked up the phone, and what happened next was something I never expected. Because the biggest shock wasn't what I found. The biggest shock was what happened to me afterward. I opened his messages. My hands were shaking. I expected to find proof. Some secret conversation. Another woman. A lie. Something. Instead, I found nothing. Nothing suspicious. Nothing romantic. Nothing that suggested he was cheating. The more I searched, the worse I felt. Suddenly, I realized something. The problem wasn't inside his phone. The problem was inside me. I had spent months building a story in my head. A story based on fear. A story based on assumptions. A story with no evidence. And now I was violating the trust of someone I claimed to love because I was afraid of being hurt. I put the phone down immediately. I felt sick. Not because of what I found, because of what I had become. When he came back upstairs, I couldn't even look him in the eyes. The guilt was overwhelming. For 2 days, I kept the secret. Then I couldn't take it anymore. I told him everything. I expected him to be furious. I expected him to leave. I expected the relationship to end. Instead, he sat quietly for a long time. Then he asked me a question. A question I will never forget. He said, "Why didn't you just tell me you were scared?" That question hit me harder than any argument ever could. Because he was right. I wasn't looking for answers. I was looking for certainty. I wanted a guarantee that nothing bad would happen. I wanted proof that I would never get hurt. But relationships don't work that way. Love doesn't come with guarantees. Trust is always a risk. You can know someone for years and still never have complete certainty. That's the reality. For the next few weeks, we had some difficult conversations we should have had much earlier. I told him about my fears, about my insecurities, about the anxiety I had been hiding, and he told me something surprising. He had noticed. He knew something was wrong. He could feel me pulling away emotionally, but he didn't know why. The truth is that most relationship problems don't start because people stop loving each other. They start because people stop communicating. They stop saying what they're actually feeling. They start assuming, guessing, imagining, creating stories in their heads. And eventually, those stories become more powerful than reality itself. That experience taught me one of the most important lessons of my life. Fear creates fiction. It fills empty spaces with worst case scenarios. It convinces you that uncertainty is danger. And if you're not careful, it can destroy something beautiful. Today, when I look back on that moment, I don't feel embarrassed anymore. I feel grateful because it forced me to confront something I had been avoiding for years: my fear of abandonment, my fear of rejection, my fear of not being enough. The phone was never the real issue. The real issue was the insecurity I was carrying inside myself. And once I finally faced it, everything started to change. Not overnight, not instantly, but slowly. I became more honest, more confident, more self aware, and most importantly, I learned that trust isn't built by controlling another person, it's built by managing your own fears. If you're constantly looking for proof that someone will hurt you, eventually you'll find a reason to believe it, even if it isn't true. But if you learn to communicate instead of assume, relationships become much healthier, much calmer, much stronger. The relationship eventually ended years later for reasons completely unrelated to that night. But the lesson stayed with me, and honestly, I think it always will, because sometimes the biggest mistakes teach us the most valuable truths. And the truth I learned that night was simple. The greatest threat to my relationship wasn't another woman, it wasn't a secret message, it wasn't something hidden inside a phone, it was fear. And the moment I stopped letting fear make decisions for me was the moment I finally started growing. Thank you for listening, and remember, sometimes the answers you're desperately searching for aren't hidden inside someone else's phone. Sometimes they're hidden inside yourself.